If you had everything, would you risk it? Sinbad did. And the sea retaliated with giants, betrayal, and 7 voyages that nearly cost him his life. This is the story of how a wealthy young man from Baghdad traded comfort for chaos and came back a legend. In the bustling heart of Baghdad, a young Sinbad found himself restless. He was rich, but his soul craved the unknown. Looking out his window, he knew that all the gold in the world couldn't buy him the experience of seeing it. So he made a choice. He sold his possessions, gathered merchandise, and stepped onto a ship, sailing away from the life he knew, straight into the arms of adventure. His first voyage began with a beautiful green island. The crew went ashore, laughing and lighting a fire to cook. But this wasn't an island. The ground trembled, the sea roared, and the entire landmass began to move. It was a colossal fish awakened by their fire. The ship fled in terror, leaving Sinbad clinging to a piece of wood adrift in the vast, unforgiving ocean. He eventually washed ashore on a real island and, through luck and trade, made his way back to Baghdad, richer than before, but with a chilling new respect for the sea. But the call of the ocean was too strong. On his second voyage, he was again left behind, this time on an island that held a truly bizarre sight, a dome so massive it touched the sky. It wasn't a building, it was an egg. The egg of a legendary ROC, a bird so enormous it could blot out the sun. Thinking fast, Sinbad tied his turban to the creature's leg. When the ROC took flight, it carried him over mountains and into a valley glittering with unimaginable treasures. It was a valley of diamonds. He had stared death in the face and was rewarded with wealth beyond his wildest dreams. The third voyage brought a darker challenge. A storm blew their ship to the island of the Cyclops, where they were captured by a monstrous, one-eyed giant who saw them as nothing more than his next meal. Trapped and terrified, Sinbad knew brute force was useless. He relied on his mind. As the giant slept, Sinbad and his crew heated a metal spit in the fire and plunged it into the monster's single eye. Blinded and roaring in agony, the giant was powerless to stop their escape. Wit, not muscle, had saved them. But the sea was not done testing him. On his fourth voyage, he was shipwrecked in a strange kingdom with a cruel custom. If a spouse died, the living partner was buried alive with them in a communal tomb. Soon after Sinbad was married into their society, his wife fell ill and died. He was sealed in the dark, underground cavern with her body left to perish. Surrounded by the dead, he refused to give up, surviving on the meager provisions left for other corpses until he discovered a hidden exit, escaping the grave and once again returning to the world of the living. His next voyages were a blur of chaos and consequence. On the fifth, his crew foolishly destroyed a ROC's egg, and the enraged parent birds dropped massive boulders, sinking their ship. On the sixth, he was enslaved and forced to hunt elephants, but his cleverness and honesty won him his freedom and yet another fortune. Each perilous journey stripped away his youthful arrogance, replacing it with hard-earned wisdom. Finally, on his seventh and last voyage, Sinbad reached the magnificent island of Arendib. He wasn't a castaway this time, but a respected guest. The king, hearing of his incredible journeys, honored him not for his gold, but for his resilience. Sinbad had faced down fate itself and lived to tell the tales. He returned to Baghdad for the last time. He was no longer the restless youth who left, but a seasoned, wise man. He had sailed the world, faced monsters, and amassed fortunes, but he had learned the most important lesson of all. True wealth isn't the gold you bring back in your chests, but the wisdom that brings you home, whole. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic stories.